Hello and welcome to another episode of Movies That Make Us. I'm Jake.
I'm Tracy.
And I'm Valerie.
It was very musical tonight.
It's a late night show. There's going to be a lot of sing talking.
Plus, you just got off of a trip.
Yeah. I mean, I'm never home, so.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's fair.
She just got back, and from what she was telling us, Tracy, it sounded like the flight was kind of crappy on the way home. Yeah. It's a late night show, so we'll see how this goes for us.
So for those that were not part of the pre-show conversation, Val, how many times did the baby?
I was just going to leave it.
Oh, okay. So I was on a flight home from actually one of the coolest places in Florida that I visited, and this year I've been to Florida quite a few times to a bunch, like from top to bottom and middle. And this was a place right on the outside, right near St. Augustine, which is like an historical area. And I didn't really get to like go out and see the historical spots, which is one of the things I love to do. But it was really cool. I flew into Daytona and I had no idea that when you fly into the Daytona airport, right next to the airport is the Speedway. So I have my car. I'm driving in my car and I come around the corner and all I hear in my mind is Days of Thunder and it's huge. It is ginormous because the person next to me had the window up. So I didn't see it. But when I was flying out, like you can see it's just huge. So I'm just driving, like trying not to hit people because I'm just like hearing Days of Thunder. And I know like other people like whatever, Val, there's real world racing going on in there. I don't care.
Matter. Yeah.
But it was pretty cool. Yeah, on his motorcycle and in a car. But yeah, so that was cool. And it was like an hour drive from there and it's right on the beach. So it was really neat. The fish was great. There was a local donut shop that I visited this morning. I figure I needed a road donut for my hour drive back, right?
Absolutely.
Which is, I'm really glad that I did it. So they make them right as you're there and they're like real yeast ones. So they're not, so you just get it lightly glazed. And I did the dark chocolate lightly glazed.
Oh, nice.
So I'm eating that and I'm on my way back, just like smiling and dancing. And there's all these birds and like water and it's beautiful. And I'm like, if I ever moved to Florida, it would be here. It's great. And then I get to the airport and I realize I didn't need to get there that early. It's a small airport. I walked right in like I owned the place. So I started watching some movies. I'm behind on screenings. Everything's going great. Then I get on the plane and they booked my flight so late that I had a middle seat. That was all that was left. I don't love a middle seat. But then the people in my row came over and they're like, hey, we're together. Do you want the end or do you want the window? And I'm like, I'll move over to the window. So I'm like, this is still going great.
Everything's coming up, Valerie, at this point.
Everything's coming up roses.
Yeah. And then I try to find a movie. I found a cool little pinball movie. I put my headphones in. I'm watching this history of pinball. It's a fluffy, light little nice watch. And they're like, we're going to have to hang out on the airstrip, whatever, for a minute. Tarmac, whatever the crap it is. That's the word of the day. And it just starts smelling not great on the plane. And I'm like, it happens. Like, you can't help it. It'll go away. And it lingered for a little bit. And I text Babe and I'm like, babe, I think somebody crapped their pants. Like it was just a joke. And he's like, did they? And I'm like, no, it just smells really bad in here.
It has happened on flights recently.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so he's like, what? They did? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it just smells bad. And then they're starting to push like some kind of flowery whatever in there. Right. So then we take off and I'm like, all right, this is fine.
Because that doesn't really mask the same. It just mingles.
I mean, it was pretty decent the first time,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
All right.
Then the smell happens again, and I'm like, what is going? And I'm like, is it me? Like what? Like because once it's like in your nose, you're like,
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
it like
you smell it everywhere.
am
Right.
I the
Am I
one
the problem?
creating this
Did
stench?
I poop my pants and I didn't know? I mean, that happens.
Well, I mean, yeah, it happened to me. But I knew. Uh, so I'm like, what is going on? And then I hear a baby cry 2 rows in front of us. And I'm like, okay, maybe they're changing, the baby's a little gassy. They finally changed the diaper. It'll go away. And then they sprayed the stuff again, watching the movie, learning so much about pinball. I have to tell you guys about this movie on another time.
I'm intrigued by the pinball movie, I'll be
It's
honest.
really fun. And then I'm like, okay, pinball movie's over. I still have so much time. So I turn on The Last of Us and I start watching that again.
Nice.
Episode 5, so good.
Mhm.
And then it's there again. And I'm like, how much does this baby need to poop? And so it's just there. And then the lady next to me, who was nice enough to give me the window seat, she is just like complaining about her drinks, but I had my headphones on. I'm watching the movie. There's a smell. I'm just ignoring it. Right.
Right.
And then she starts wrestling in her seat. And I'm like, you know what? I fidget in my seat too. I'm fine. Then when you smell it the third time, she is just, oh my gosh, like, why is this happening? And I'm like, what do you expect him to do? We're on a plane. It's not great,
Yeah.
but whatever. So then we finally land. And it's taking a little bit of time to get off the plane. And there's an older couple that's like 4 rows ahead of us. Nobody is helping them get if I was next to them, I would have helped them get their stuff down, situate. They look like they're struggling. Nobody's helping. And the lady and her husband next to me, she is just complaining loud enough that this poor old couple, luckily they were like that at that age where they're just trying to get their stuff. They're looking in their seats, making sure like they're taking a long time. But I'm like, it's fine. Nobody's going to die. Right. She's just being loud as loud can be. And then when they finally move and everybody starts moving fast, she's like, see? And there was a guy standing in like this young 20-year-old, looked like he went to BYU or something, standing in the walkway. And we both look at each other like we could take her. Right.
Yeah.
Like we could take her down. But I just turned my headphones on. I turned Amazon on during the flight and I realized there's a remixed Prince album out. So I downloaded that baby, put my headphones on, turned Prince up, and that lady I ignored her. And I just thought, I get it. It was a stinky flight. It was a long flight. You're annoyed because you're an annoying person. Then you've got like this old couple. Like, I get it. We're all tired. But if you decide to go out in public, you have to deal with the public. So you need to learn how to be patient or stay home. Like, just stay home. I travel a lot. And like, you just have to relax.
Yeah.
Right? Like on my way out to Florida, we were landing as my other flight was boarding. And I had to go from A gate to T gate. I didn't hit anyone. I didn't yell at anyone. I nicely asked the people in front of me, can I squeeze past you? Can I squeeze past you? And then when it stopped, I patiently waited like this. I didn't say anything rude. And then when I got off the plane, I ran. I didn't knock anyone over. I didn't swear at anyone. Like, people, if you're gonna go outside, one, make sure you didn't feed your baby whatever you fed your baby.
Yeah, that sounded not great.
2, you just take a deep breath and realize you're not an aerospace scientist, jet propulsion, whatever. You're not a neurosurgeon. You're not a heart surgeon. You're not trying to stop a pandemic. You're going from plane A to plane B or plane to Lyft driver to home. Like, stop.
Yeah.
Or turn your Prince music on and just dance your way through and ignore all those stupid people.
Yeah. You know, the thing about being a baby Babies can't help it when
They
they poop
can't.
in their diaper. They can't.
Oh,
So you
yeah.
can't get frustrated or angry that that's happening to the baby, right? I mean,
And the
baby
parents
can't help
can't
it.
make it not poop.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Right.
and if anything, when you have a baby, you're like trying to get the baby to poop because otherwise,
Yeah.
if they're not, then there's whole other issues. And so
Yeah.
you can't blame the
And
baby.
then once a
But you
baby
can-
starts
you can-
pooping on a plane, all the people that were holding in their farts are like, well, we can let them out now because we can
Might as
blame
well.
it on the baby. So
Yeah.
it just becomes this big gas
The
on a
baby becomes
plane
the gas
episode.
scapegoat. Yeah. Farts on a plane. It's a classic, really.
Samuel Jackson on the plane too.
But if you're a grown up person, you can control how you react to a situation. You just can.
I'm so glad this is our 200th episode.
This is it. If you have listened to the other 199 episodes of this show, this is not surprising.
Valerie
If this
is
is your first time,
of talking about poop.
yeah, this is
She's
your first time joining us.
Everybody does
Welcome.
it.
Everybody does
it.
do it.
There's a book called Everybody Poops.
Yeah, there is. My second boss in radio used to have it in his office. And if people came in and complained, he's like, you can read this book. Everybody poops. Speaking of 200th episode, something exciting is happening this week.
Yes, it is. November 3rd, which I believe is Friday.
Yeah.
Friday. This Friday.
We are going to be at the tavern in Midvale, Utah, and we will be hosting a trivia night. And we are raising funds for the American Cancer Society. All of the money that we raise at this event is going to the American Cancer Society. None of it goes into our pockets. We do not benefit from this at all.
Nope.
We are
putting money towards it, really.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We have all donated, plus
Mhm.
I am spending a lot of gas money this week to go gather all of the prizes that I have asked for. And we've all paid for our own way to get to California to run.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. And so really, it's a great cause. Come down. We're going to be raffling off some amazing prizes. I think, we've got a professional grade smoker that Tracy's got that we're going to be giving away. We've got Dave is always so gracious, Babe, to donate some tattoo time. And
Dave
that's
Man Tattoos on
Dave Man
Instagram.
Tattoos. They're amazing. He's incredibly talented. And so
He's
we've got,
I saw that Lord of the Rings piece. I've seen your bird
yeah.
pieces. He's better
Yeah.
than I eat.
No, he's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. but we've got some killer prizes, some great movie merchandise, things like that. We'll be raffling it all off. You can come buy raffle tickets. You can bring cash. We will have the QR code so you can donate online. However you want to do it, we'll take the money.
We will take gold and rubies and diamonds, whatever.
The only thing we probably wouldn't take is like if you wanted to give us your cow or something, because I wouldn't know what to do with that.
That would be tricky.
Yeah, I don't know where to sell that
Yeah.
for money.
Yeah.
But other than that, we'll take almost anything else. So any other cash?
I laughed so hard that like my throat is weird now because I did that hard laugh. That ever happened to you guys?
Yes.
No? Okay.
We both say yes. He's like, no.
Nope, just you, Val. You're the only one that's experienced that ever.
So weird.
So
Please come out on November 3rd, everybody. What time does it start, Tracy? 7 p.m.? What are we doing? 6 p.m.?
6 to 9.
6 to 9. So Tracy will probably wear a princess hat of some sort. We got him to wear one.
You're not
going to
wear the whole dress?
It could happen.
Maybe if we, you should bring it. And if we hit our goal, you have to put it on.
Then we'll bust out the dress. Yes.
Yeah. But you have to change into it in front of everybody.
No.
No.
It's not that kind of show.
No, it's not.
I mean, unless it'll get us more donations. Yeah.
We got to donate a lot of money for that.
A lot of money.
I have heard Tracy say many times that he'll do almost anything. To raise money for charity. I would like to find out where the limit is. And so I will keep pushing until we hit it.
Usually that's something that would come out of my mouth, not yours, Jake.
After dark.
After dark.
This is movies that make us raw after dark.
So because it's our 200th episode, I thought it would be a good idea to talk about our favorite movies from the year 2000. And Babe said, that's stupid.
Oh,
And I'm like, I came up with that. And he's like, it doesn't make sense. And I'm like, it makes perfect sense. It doesn't need to make sense. I just thought 200, 2000. We can't go back to the 200s.
no,
Yeah.
We'd
because
be reading things off
Tape
walls.
drawings, yeah.
yeah.
That wouldn't
What
be
does
good.
he have a better idea? Did he come up with a better idea, or did he just complain?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Because that's the worst kind of critique. When somebody's like, "That's a stupid idea." Okay, well, how can we make it better? It's just
I don't
stupid.
know.
Well, your
I
criticism
think he
is
just
stupid.
missed me for
All right?
3 days. He needed
Yeah.
to give me a hard time.
That's we
So
love
for
you, Babe, despite you hating our show,
Sure.
apparently.
So I think Tracy and I don't know about you, Jake, but I think Tracy and I had opposite problems about picking our favorite movies from the 2000s. Was this hard for you, Jake?
No, as I started looking through the list, there were quite a few movies I was like, "Oh yeah, I really enjoyed that movie," and are kind of nostalgic in a lot of ways. I mean, it's
Uh-huh.
weird for me to think of movies that came out in the year 2000 as being nostalgic, but
Right? It doesn't
23
feel
years
like
ago.
it. Yeah, it doesn't feel
Yeah.
like it at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I think it was pretty easy to find them. I'm interested to see what everybody picked because as I went through the list, I was like, I know what my favorite movies are going to be, but I'm not sure what everybody else is going to pick or what we're going to talk about. So,
Well, let's start with you then.
well, but I will say in Tracy's defense, I found an article from Roger Ebert from the
Uh-huh.
year 2000, December 31st, and he starts it out by saying it was not a good year for movies. So
Oh,
he's in your corner on this, Tracy.
not in my
Uh,
I
corner.
found some. It was just you could start going through the list and you're like, there wasn't a whole lot that was like are going to stand the test of time type of thing.
It's weird because this was an interesting time for some of the movies that came out and the transition compared to where we are now. And we'll talk about some of the
Right.
movies that we're going to talk about. But so I'll start off. Can I start off with 2 animated movies? Is that okay?
You can do whatever you want.
We didn't set up like solid rules
There
on
was no
this, and we
plan?
never
No.
follow our rules anyway. So I figured, why not? So there were 2 animated movies that are 2 of my favorite all-time animated movies that came out in the year 2000. One of them was Titan AE, which was one of those rare non-Disney animated movies that was fantastic. It's a cool science fiction story about Earth has been destroyed and they are out there looking for a new Earth, basically, in this ship, I believe, called Titan. And there's some cool aliens, there's some cool adventures, there's a kid who's kind of like the chosen one in it. Like, it's a really good, solid movie, good hero's journey type movie, and I really enjoy that one. And the animation is stellar. Like, it's up there, same quality as Disney. And I always like it when someone plays in the medium that's kind of owned by someone. Like, Disney owns animation, right? Like, they are, especially at this point, they are 2D animation. Everybody knows Disney is the king of that. So I like to see other people play in that space and do a really good job. And this is a good example of that. And then the other animated movie is a Disney animated movie, and it's Emperor's New Groove, which is one of my all-time favorite Disney movies. I remember going to see that movie I was working at a bookstore at the time, and so a group of us went to go see that movie. I believe, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Blake Castleman may have been part of that group that went to go see that
Oh,
movie
cool.
because we were working at the bookstore together at that time. And there was one girl that was about my age that was there with us, and as we were watching the movie, she and I were just laughing. I mean, we were just laughing a ton. I was going to say our butts off, but that sounds weird for me to say. So we were just laughing a lot.
It's
I don't know
okay.
why. It felt weird.
Mm.
But and nobody else really was, except that they were laughing at us, laughing at everything. But I just love that movie. It doesn't get old. I do think that one will stand the test of time, regardless of what Tracy says, because he hates everything that came out in the year 2000.
I love this episode already. All right, Tracy, let's name all the things you hate. Jake, you didn't do 3 movies, Jake. Those are the only 2 you want to
Well,
talk
no,
about.
I've got 3 rounds. and that was the first.
Oh,
I'm hoping those
3
together
rounds.
as
Oh,
an
I didn't know
animated
we were gonna
double
do
feature.
rounds. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I've got more. We can go. I could go deeper than 3 if you want. I might be able to get up to 10 in the year 2000, but I want to hear what you guys. Yeah, see, Val's got a list. Tracy,
I'll go with one that it's not going to last the test of time, but it's a cute little movie, and I think it kind of got overlooked a lot. Bedazzled with Brendan Fraser
Oh my gosh.
is where I went.
No.
No,
No. I have a backstory, but I'll let you finish.
okay.
But no,
I was
Tracy.
going to say Elizabeth Hurley is actually quite good, and
No.
quite charming as the
It
devil.
is awful. I can't believe I went through all the movies and I'm like, nobody is possibly going to pick that movie because it's one of the worst movies ever made.
it wasn't on my radar either. I do want to say
Tracy!
though, coming out swinging, like 2000 was an awful
Tracy!
year for movies. It wasn't very good. I'm going to start with Bedazzled. There's got to be 50 movies that were better than Bedazzled that came out in
It's a
2000.
cute little movie.
No, it is not. It's awful, Tracy. And this is the thing. I
It's one of
was
Brendan
living
Fraser's
in
better
West
ones.
Hollywood when that movie came out, and
It is not one of his better ones.
we got invited to go see the pre-screening on the lot when it's not all the way finished, but they want our feedback.
Right.
And I got to see it before they cut out even more crappy stuff. And I wrote down in this movie, I'm like, my notes for this movie, they cut a lot of it out, but that is a horrible movie, Tracy.
It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I liked it.
All right. This is
Okay.
one of my favorite episodes already.
I did not
Because we had
expect, just
totally
came
got off
from
the
left
rails.
field.
Every once in a while, I got to throw you a curveball.
Okay.
That was a good curveball.
Oh my gosh,
I
my
feel
stomach
bad.
hurts. That hit me so hard.
He's
I
good
feel
in it.
bad that we're being so critical of your choice, Tracy.
He's
It's a
Yeah.
fine
in that
choice
one.
if you
That's
enjoyed
okay.
it.
He's fine, but the movie itself is awful.
The beach scene where
Awful.
he's the empathetic.
You're never
Alec?
going to change my mind. This
He's
is a
yelling at
hard
the
no.
sunset 'cause it's taking too
This
long.
this movie and Ace of Base as a band, you will never change my mind on how much I
Well, now, hold
dislike.
on. Why are we picking on Ace of Base all of a sudden?
It's an
What did
inside
they do?
joke. My
What-
family, when they watch this, will know.
Get it?
I
Okay.
Ace of Base is a
All
no-go
right, well,
for
give
me
some of
all
my
day
favorite
long.
one. Let's go.
No, you
Uh,
have to give us at least 2 right now because Jake did 2.
Well, I have 3 movies
Okay.
for 3 rounds.
Okay, go.
Well,
Oh, that's it? 3 movies
Oh.
total?
Yeah.
I thought that's
Well,
what we
he
were
was
doing.
having a hard time finding good ones.
All right,
I mean, after
I'll
Bedazzled,
go
what
with
else
a really
is there?
good one. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Okay, that's a good one. We've talked about that on the show.
Yes, we
You'll
have.
find that as one of our episodes.
Is that a palate cleanser? Are we okay now?
Yeah, we're fine.
We were always okay. Listen, we know you like weird movies sometimes, Tracy. Sharknado is an example of
But
that.
Sharknado is awful to be awful. Bedazzled was trying to be good.
I do feel like we owe Brendan Fraser an apology because Tracy did make the statement that this is one of his better movies.
It's better than the Encino Man.
Well, okay, but that's
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
But-
Encino Man has a way bigger audience. There are a whole.
That doesn't make it a better film
Oh my gosh.
or a better
Tracy.
performance.
but like the Mummy movies, he was great in the Mummy movies.
Why do I have no stuffed animals next to me?
Oh, okay. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Let's talk
right,
about that.
okay.
Let's move on.
All right, Val, go.
Oh, okay. So Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon was also on my list, so I'm going to check that off.
Okay.
And then I also had Emperor's New Groove on my list, so I'm going to check that off because we talked about those. I know like one of the bigger ones that most anyone would say for that year is Gladiator, and we've talked about.
That's a good one.
And so like that's an obvious one, so I don't really want to get into it. Gladiator was great, so I'm going to mark that off. And I'm going to do one
by Tony's lesser known brother Ridley.
Ridley.
Scott.
Yeah,
Yes.
Ridley Scott.
Tony's lesser known brother.
So I'm going to go for one that I know Tracy will probably hate, and that is Vin Diesel in Pitch Black.
No, that one's all right.
I
That's
really
okay.
like that movie.
That's a
I
great
had
concept. Yeah.
like it was And then Riddick came out, which was kind of fine. But Pitch
Yeah,
Black was
that's a good
such a
one.
good idea as a
Yeah.
thriller and
Yeah.
space and horror, because it wasn't like gruesome, but you had the like, is it coming? And you had some really smart female characters
Yeah.
in this movie. So if you haven't seen Pitch Black, I really do think it stands the test of time, especially if you're just watching at home on your TV. Like, I wouldn't go back to the theater to see it,
Right.
but if
on
it's
your channel
on,
streaming,
I will totally watch it. So
I'm with you there.
I'm going with Pitch Black. Can I do another one?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So my other one that I'm going to go with is High Fidelity.
I had that
Oh,
on my
that's a
list.
great
That was
one.
next. Yeah, that's a
Okay,
good one.
yay! Okay.
That's a good choice.
And I think we've talked about that several times on
John
the show,
Cusack
like bringing it up
It's so good
about
in that one. Jack Black.
Yep. And it's Jack Black before he was Jack Black,
Yeah.
but he was still Jack Black.
Yeah, we just didn't know.
Yeah, we didn't
What
know
we
what
didn't
kind of
know.
magic we had on our hands
Yeah,
at that point.
there was no doodly doos and deedly dees.
Yeah. This was Jack Black pre Valerie meeting him in Park City.
This is true.
Okay. Okay, long to you, Jake.
Back
All
to
right.
Jake.
All right, I'm going to pick, I think an obvious one for me was X-Men. Came
That's a
out
good
in
one.
2000. And for me, someone who grew up on the comics, grew up on the cartoon series, that I remember waking up on Saturday mornings just to watch X-Men, to think that they were going to make a live action X-Men movie blew me away. I had no idea how they would do it. And then they made one that didn't suck totally. And that was amazing to me as well. And of course, this is where we get Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, one of the best casting decisions ever. He just
That
totally
worked out
owns
well
that
for him.
and so I really like X-Men. I was also very excited because years before, as a big Star Trek fan, I always said Patrick Stewart would be a great Charles Xavier. So when they cast him as Professor X, I was totally on board with that. I felt like I called it. They must have listened to me somehow. They didn't. And I think it was a pretty obvious choice, but I still felt pretty special myself.
You still get the vindication, yeah.
But that was one of the few movies that I went and watched by myself because no one really wanted to go with me, and I didn't care. I wanted to go see that movie. So, but compared to what we've got with the Marvel Cinematic Universe now and some of the movies that have come out, I mean, Endgame is head and shoulders better than X-Men. But if X-Men hadn't been successful and as good as it was, we wouldn't have what we have now.
I think it holds up more than some of the other.
Yeah.
It's definitely better than Last Stand, but we don't want to talk about Last Stand.
Quantumania is better than that.
Yeah.
Love and Thunder. So I'd say it holds up.
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah, I'm good with that choice. I think that's a fine choice. So I will go one of my.
Tracy's been so nice about our choices, and we were so mean.
I just didn't expect it.
That's okay. No hard feelings.
I'm feeling so guilty now.
That's what I say. It's the fun thing about film. We can disagree. It's art. You can have different opinions. It's okay.
If Little Nicky is your next pick, Tracy,
oh my gosh, I will be done.
I don't think I could ever pick an Adam Sandler film.
Okay. All right, good.
Yeah. Anything in that SNL year, those films just tend to not do it for me. And if you do like Little Nicky and some of the other, films like that, then that's okay.
Keep it to yourself.
It's not my.
I don't think that's even one of his better films.
No, I like a lot of his movies, but that one was.
Like I don't mind Happy Gilmore. I don't mind Billy Madison, but Little Nicky was not for me. Waterboy was about where I kind of fell off the Adam Sandler bandwagon a little bit.
That was the tipping point.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right, what's your next one, Tracy?
So I am a big fan of Christopher Guest, and this is not my favorite of his, but it's really good. Best in Show, the mockumentary about all the dog people and going to the Westminster Kennel Dog Show. And Parker Posey in this has one of my favorite comedic performances ever.
She's just so good.
The whole thing about the Starbucks across from the Starbucks, and then they fell in love looking at each other across the Starbucks, and then
Yeah.
He goes to the other Starbucks to meet her, and she comes to the other Starbucks, and then they miss each other. I mean, it's just, and the fact that 95% of it's improv is just so good.
I really, really enjoy the genre, this comedy subgenre of mockumentary. Like, that style just really works for me, especially when you get a talented group of actors like we have in Best in Show, and a lot of the Christopher Guest movies that
Mhm.
are just 100% in on what they're doing, and you can tell. Uh,
Yeah.
If
yeah,
you want a
and
really good series, Seth Meyers along with Bill Hader and I can't think of his name. He was on SNL. He does Portlandia.
mhm. Oh,
Uh,
Fred Armisen.
Fred Armisen. Documentary Now,
Yes, great
Independent Film
series.
Channel. And if you know documentaries, like they spoof some documentaries, so like obscure documentaries that I saw in film school, and I'm like rolling on the floor. I'm like, I'm sure there's like 3 other people that think this is funny, but this is hysterical. So that's
Fred
a good series.
Armisen is one of the most talented comedians to ever come through Saturday Night Live, and one of the most underappreciated. Like, the stuff that he's done, Portlandia is one of my favorite all-time series. Like, I just love that show, and it is so off the wall. My wife hates when I watch it because she's like, "It's just weird. I don't get it." So I watch it alone in the dark. It's fine. It's
Yeah,
healthy.
probably my favorite Christopher Guest is shoot. Now I'm having a brain
Is
cramp.
it?
Waiting for Guffman.
Yeah, I was gonna say Waiting for Guffman,
That one is
really
just
good one.
the community theater. The fact that
Yeah.
they have the My Dinner with Andre action figures.
Yeah.
And how did you get the table? Oh, I just called and made a reservation. And that's the great thing about action figures. That's not in the movie. You can make it say whatever you want.
Although that movie is pretty much kind of like that. Anyway, Best in Show is a great one. I enjoy it. If you've never explored the high pressure world of professional
Oh,
dog
the,
shows,
the
Best in
fact
Show is
that
a
they have
great
to go to a therapist because the dog was there when they were being intimate with each other, just so good.
That's a
All
good
right,
one.
Val, what you got
Oh, you're just doing that?
Oh,
for
I just
now?
did X-Men.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to do more than one on my turn. So,
Okay.
I'm going to show you how different I am by giving you
Okay.
2 totally different movies from 2 totally different spectrums.
I like it.
Snatch and
Okay.
Bring It On.
All right.
Those are 2 totally different movies.
All
That
right.
is true.
Snatch, there is what I love so much about Snatch is that the sequencing and the pacing of that movie is so much fun. Like it's like you just feel like every time you're watching it, the talking is fast and the way that it's edited and the sequencing is so much fun. I think it's one of Guy Ritchie's best films because he tests his audience on like can you follow what's happening? And there's so many different accents and there's so many different things. Brad Pitt, like it's hilarious watching him be this character in this movie. But I saw it. I was a little bit younger and I was like, what is happening in this movie? I have never seen anything like this. And when I heard that Guy Ritchie was going to direct Will Smith in Aladdin. I'm like, please sequence this movie like Snatch, but of course he didn't because it's a Disney movie.
Right.
I thought it was really great. I love the coloring, I love the editing. I just love that movie. It is not one that I can watch over and over and over and over like Bring It On because when Bring It On came out, I was watching it all the time. And then when I introduced it to Sammy, she watched it all the time because it's so quotable. I quoted it just a week ago at one of our events because somebody said, be aggressive. And then I'm like, be aggressive. And then somebody said something else, and I went into another cheer, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Bring it on!" And
You're
they're
like,
like,
living my
"What?"
best life. That's what
I
I'm
am
doing.
living my best life at 44. If you don't know the quotes from this movie, you are sad. Go watch it. I it's just funny. It's just easy, funny. It's not going to win any awards, but it's also not going to get like a Razzle Award. Like it's not like a Razzie. Is it a Razzie?
Razzie, I think.
Something. Yeah. Because it's just fun. It's just fun. It's just a fun movie. Okay, there's my 2 weird ones.
And I think Bring It On is one that has kind of stood the test of time. Like people still talk about it.
Yeah, it goes across generations.
Yeah. I picked this one when I saw it on the list because I do genuinely love this movie, but I also had to pick it because I knew Tracy would hate that I put it on the list. So I went with Unbreakable, M. Night Shyamalan, because I know how much you love Mr. Shyamalan. But this is my favorite of all of his movies.
Is
Bruce
it?
Willis does a great job.
Yeah.
I love the origin story. What's that, Tracy?
You like this better than Sixth Sense?
I do like this better than Sixth
Sense. I do
Sense.
too. I like Unbreakable better than Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
I hated this movie.
But I like superhero genre movies more than I like horror genre, right? I mean, that's and Unbreakable is more of a superhero story. And of course it introduces us to Mr. Glass, who gets his own movie later, and
which is crappy. It's
not which wasn't kind of a disappointment. But this one, I don't know. It gives us a twist like he normally does. I felt like he had some big missteps after Sixth Sense, like Signs, like The Village, that didn't really work for me, but this one definitely did. And
I definitely liked Signs. I think Signs might be my favorite one of his.
And a lot of people really like. It's got a big cult following. For me, I didn't like it as much.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people that really like Signs.
If you're not alone to travel across the entire universe, you should be smart enough to do research on the planet you're going to and realizing that it will kill you.
You don't know that. You don't know me. He doesn't know how to open a door because maybe they don't have knobs there.
You would think that they would figure out that water will kill them.
You would think.
A planet that's like 90% water.
I think it's like 7. Is it 90%? Are we 90% water?
No. Maybe not, but like the human body's like 80, 90% water. Yeah.
70. Yeah.
Whatever.
Listen.
Science. Whatever.
But Unbreakable was good, all right? I liked Bruce Willis a lot in this one, so
it's really slow for me.
And that's fine.
I had a hard time with that one, but that's okay. I do not
I know. And I knew that you would, because I know that you don't like his movies typically.
Yeah, that's all right.
So, but I did really
one with the new Professor X. I'm sorry, I'm having brain cramps tonight.
Oh, Split
yes, that one was pretty decent.
And that's
mostly
kind of
because of
acting. It's like a pseudo sequel to Unbreakable.
Yeah, it's the third. Yeah.
But that one to me, just mostly because of the acting of James McAvoy. That
and
one
he's a good actor.
Pretty
good.
Did a
great job.
So I'm gonna go with one, and this is back. This started kind of a love affair with this director for a while, and I've kind of fallen off with this director lately. But Memento, I think, is one of the more interesting and creative. And this is really what kind of put Nolan on the map. Telling the story completely backwards, I thought that was very, very clever.
It's really interesting, Tracy, as I went through the list of movies from the year 2000. When I came to Best in Show, I thought, I really like that one, but I'll bet Tracy puts that on his list. And then when I got to Memento, I was like, that's another really good one, but I'm almost positive Tracy's going to have that on his list. And so
I knew you'd have Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
that works. Yeah.
Unpopular opinion. I don't care for Memento.
Okay. You're just crapping all over my movies tonight. You know.
No, but that one I can see why people like it. Like I understand why people like it and why it did so well. I myself didn't care for it, but
especially for the time, you didn't have movies that didn't tell stories in linear fashion very often. Like I remember Pulp Fiction was such a revelation because of the way it told the story.
Yeah, and that's how I felt about Snatch. That's how I felt about that because of the way they were telling it in the sequencing. Yeah. So I get it.
Right.
I just didn't care for it.
One of your personals.
I'm not surprised it didn't smack me across the face.
Not like
that you liked it.
Yeah.
None of us saw Bedazzled coming. I'm just gonna be I'm gonna throw it out there.
Every
None of
once in a
us.
while, I gotta keep you on your toes.
Yeah, you did.
The other one that I really liked, and we've talked about it before, and I was introduced to it this year because of Al, was Chocolat. I thought that one
That
was
was
really
on my
good.
list as well. I'm going to go ahead and scratch that one off.
All right. Sorry.
No. It's good because I have a really long list. So if you guys bring it up, I don't have to.
We did cover Chocolat earlier this year. It's a good one.
So, and then I'll just go one more just for the heck of it. Chicken Run.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like the Wallace and Gromit shorts a little bit better, but it's still really cute. It's going to be interesting.
Oh, I love it.
The sequel is coming to Netflix this year.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it will not have Mel Gibson. It will be focused. This is a weird one. Zachary Levi is taking over that character.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I like Zachary Levi, but that's a very different voice.
I can
So
see it.
Be different, but from what I understand, they're mostly focusing on the female chicken.
Yeah.
So, but that's coming to Netflix later this year.
Nice.
Yeah, I love Wallace
I
and
love
Gromit,
stop-motion
and I
animation.
love, and I think that one stands the test of time too, because I introduced Sammy to that one when she was old enough to understand, and she loved it. So I just think it goes across generations as well. Let's see, where am I going to go next? We're going to go action films. How about that?
All right.
Mission Impossible 2.
All right.
I love Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible 2 came out. It is not the best of the Mission Impossibles, but it introduced us, yes, because John Woo is one of my favorite directors. He has a new American movie coming out this year because he's been doing international movies for the last almost 10 years without anything here. But so I love the sequencing in the movie. I don't love the special effects weren't super great. But as far as the action sequencing, John Woo is really good at that. And we got introduced to some characters that are going to be important later. And so for me, it was kind of that one that, like, some people really like Iron Man 2 because it gives us characters that are important. And so I respect that, even though I hate the movie, but I respect what it brings us for later. That's kind of why I bring up Mission Impossible 2.
Mm-hmm.
And my next one, which I know you're probably going to hate, is Gone in 60 Seconds. I love this movie. I love Nicolas Cage in this movie. I love Angelina Jolie. You know how I like car movies.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, we have a whole bunch of young actors that then are better later, but they were so great in these small roles at the time. Plus, I love the coloring of this movie. I think the coloring of this movie,
yellow and orange.
And darks, so you have a lot of darks, and then you'll have these bright reds and these yellows, and it just is so fast. Like, it says Gone in 60 seconds, and sometimes, like, you'll get movies with cars and with pretty people and with all of this angst, and then they're slow. This one is quick, and I love, and I can't ever remember his name, the guy that plays the detective. I just love him. He brings this whole movie together.
Yeah. Gone in 60 Seconds, I feel like this was right.
Giovanni Ribisi?
Huh?
Giovanni Ribisi? Kip Raines?
No, that's his brother. Giovanni is his brother,
Will
I thought.
Patton?
I don't know. I don't have it up.
Atlee Jacobs?
Sure.
I feel like
any of
Gone
them.
in 60 Seconds was in the middle of one of Nicolas Cage's primes, because I think he's had multiple primes, but this was like he was in everything at this point, and they were all big draws, and this was another one that I think fell in that same category.
He had really good hair in this movie. Like, his hair was almost its own character.
Angelina Jolie's hair was not my favorite.
She was blonde, and that made a big, like, to-do with everyone, and I thought it was great, but I love, like, the whole sequence where the car, like, flips around and the door opens and, like, they get it and then it goes back. Like, there's just so many great sequences in the movie. It goes fast enough for me that you don't really care about the story because you're just having a good time.
Is it furious enough?
I think it is. It's
okay.
Pretty furious for me.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you said it was fast enough, so I had to make sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty furious.
So I'm going to give another couple here.
Okay.
Yeah, do it. I have at least 10 more.
So I'm going to name a movie. I feel like the star in this movie has gotten a lot of love today, surprisingly, as we've talked about it. But The Patriot, starring Mel Gibson. And this was, again, 2000 was really in one of his you know, it was in his heyday when he was in a lot of stuff, and he was kind of anyway. He didn't talk as much back then off the set that we got to hear. So it was fine. But I love The Patriot. We also get Heath Ledger in this one, and he does a great job in it.
I think this kind of kicked it off for him because Heath was doing some kind of like comedic things, and this was his like one of his first really dramatic roles that I think got him.
That's a good point.
Branched off to some other dramatic roles. Really, kind
I think
of
before this, it was like 10 Things I Hate About You that he was really known for, and then, but yeah, I just love the story, and it. I feel like we had a lot of these stories, like Braveheart, Patriot, Gladiator, where the main guy loses his whole family, and that's what motivates him, and everything. And this is a kind of in that similar vein. But I love historical movies. The American Revolution is one of my favorite historical times, so I enjoy this one quite a bit. It's one that I usually will put on around the 4th of July. Yeah, it seems like an appropriate time to watch it. So, and I balance it out with Hamilton. That way, you know, I watched Patriot, I watch Hamilton. The other movie that I want to talk about is I'm a sucker for a good sports flick. This is one of my favorite football ones. Remember the Titans, Denzel Washington.
Take that one off my list.
I'm sorry. I knew it was.
No, it's good. No, it's
good. But I love Remember the Titans. You know, again, it's another historical piece, right? It takes place in the 70s, and but it's a great story, or maybe late 60s, 70s. I can't remember. Yeah. It's a great story coming together, the unity, some of the leadership principles that he demonstrates in the movie, and just things like it's just a feel-good sports movie. It's everything you want from a sports movie.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's loosely based on real events, like most Disney sports movies that are based on real events. I mean, they range from like being really accurate with the events to Cool Runnings, which basically just took the name, and that was really it.
And the fact that they're from Jamaica.
Yeah.
Other than that, go for it.
But I love Cool Runnings. That's still one of my favorite movies. I don't care that it's completely not accurate at all. But this is somewhere in between.
I miss John Candy.
Well, and I was just at the school where Remember the Titans.
That's right.
Was filmed.
That's right.
So it was pretty cool.
Very cool.
All right, two to throw out to you, and then we'll get to Val because she's got a bunch to run through. I'll go 2 Sandra Bullock films for you.
I might be able to cross one off the list.
Miss Congeniality.
Yeah.
All right, that one's a really fun, quotable one. One of Shatner's better acting.
Got the Shat, yeah.
But I haven't seen this in years, so maybe it doesn't hold up. But I remember thinking that
28
days. No, 28 Days is really quite good.
Yeah,
where she enters rehab. It's not 28 Days Later, the zombie.
No, which is also good.
Which is also good, but very different. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But
they're not like
I really
28
like.
Days is not the prequel to 28 Days Later. If you think those two are related.
Very
well,
different.
and there was a movie that just came out, I think like last week or the week before that I screened, and it was a bad version of 28 Days. Because you still have this young actress and she's drunk all the time and her family's getting sick of her and she's making all these bad choices and everybody's like having their own. I'm like, I've seen this with Sandra Bullock. Like it was done way better. It's nothing new. Like they added a few things on it, but I was just it was.
Well, it's got Steve Buscemi as the counselor.
Yes, and as the baseball player is.
I don't remember. It's been too long.
Isn't it Michael Fassbender or no? Hold on. It's one of those hot guys.
One of those hot guys.
It's also a really, really good actor.
Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah, Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah, it's got Elizabeth
and
Perkins,
Dominic West.
Diane Ladd. Yeah.
Alan Tudyk.
I love Alan Tudyk.
Yeah, I think it holds up. I don't think it's as smart of a movie as I think Miss Congeniality was like.
Right.
So I don't think people understand how hard it is to be that funny and smart at the same time and not fall into the sexy woman trope smart. You know, like this really was such a great break during that time, having a beautiful, smart woman being a lead and not having to be stupid.
Right.
Like, you think Miss Congeniality, oh well, yeah, she's being stupid, she's being a blah blah. No, it's playing on how you can be beautiful and smart and talented and.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, Val, finish this off.
Okay, I'm just going to read through these.
Hey.
We don't need to talk about them. Or you can make grunts or yeah or whoa, okay? Way of the Gun.
Okay.
Space Cowboys, I will watch every time it's on TV. I
never seen
watched it on the plane like a couple of weeks ago. I love Space Cowboys. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it. It's so fun.
Can we just real quick?
Yeah,
Is it not amazing? Because isn't it? That's got like Clint Eastwood, Tommy Lee Jones.
Yep.
Like, isn't it amazing that 23 years ago those two were still playing the old guy that does stuff that, you know, and they're still playing that role now. I just you know.
No, and it's just a fun movie. That again, it's like, oh, we're old, so we can't do these things. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
We're gonna
Donald
do these
Sutherland,
things.
James
Yes,
Garner.
Donald. Yes, like so many people in this movie. So put it on your list. The Whole 9 Yards.
Mm-hmm.
I love it, and we just lost Matthew Perry, and he is in it, and he is funny in it, and so smart. So I love that movie. You don't need to see the other ones. This is the best one of those. The Beach. I really loved The Beach when it came out. Yep, Leo DiCaprio. This was, again, kind of a different take. It was a movie that came out, and I'm like, I have never seen a story like this. This is not a remake of anything. Plus, I was at that age where I was like, anything that Leo is in, I'm going to watch. The next one, it made me have the feels. So it's not the best story, but Frequency, I really, really loved that year. Frequency. And then I really thought I was brutish and I wanted to be like this dark, mysterious person. So I loved The Cell. And that's when I really fell in love with Jennifer Lopez as an actress in that movie. I was like, whoa, Jenny from yeah. But so that, okay, I have one left, and I left it to the last because it probably is my most favorite movie from that time, and that's Almost Famous.
Yeah. Okay. I was wondering when those going to show up on
it. It has one of the best soundtracks from a movie. I absolutely love the director and writer, and this is based on some things that actually happened in his life. But you also get a bunch of young actors that are great now. Like, you didn't know how great these actors were going to be.
This was Richard Linklater, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But the hold on, let me get there. So we have Billy Crudup, who I love, Kate Hudson, Anna Paquin, Zoe Deschanel, Jason Lee. Like, you just have this great Philip Seymour Hoffman. You also have, I'm pretty sure that Jimmy Fallon plays like their manager later on. You just have a ton of people in this movie. Bijou Phillips is in this movie. But I want to say, for some reason, that name. Okay, so Cameron Crowe was the director, and this is loosely based. He also was the screenwriter, and it's loosely based on his life when he worked at Rolling Stone magazine. So of course, but also the band that he put in this movie is based off of a real band as well. And then they also talk about a bunch of others. So you have movies and music together, which are both of my favorite ways to just celebrate art. And I still love this soundtrack. Anytime this movie is on, I'm going to watch it.
Solid.
It's interesting looking at the movies that we've kind of talked about and looking at the list of movies that came out in 2000. And I feel like this was a really interesting year for movies because whether it was a strong year, I mean, it's not 1982, right? I mean, it's not going to be one of those years where
or 84
or 84, right? But this is right before we get into kind of the era that we're in now with the big tentpole franchise movies, and that's really what's driving the box office. I mean, because after this, in 2001, we get Lord of the Rings. I think the first Harry Potter movie comes out in 2001 or 2002. We get the first Spider-Man movie that comes out in 2001. And like the whole movie industry now is kind of built on a lot of those. I mean, there are still other movies being made, but that's really what drives the box office. And 2000 was maybe the last year where there wasn't one of those big major franchise films. So I think it was a great year to talk about. I don't think it was stupid at all to talk about the year 2000 in our 200th episode. I don't care what anybody says, Dave or not. Although I did keep thinking, do you guys remember the Conan O'Brien skit that he did in the 90s? In the year 2000.
I thought it was 3000. Was it 3000 or 2000?
It was 2000 because we were getting close to the year 2000. Yeah. Everybody, that's all. In the 90s, that's all anybody talked about.
Oh, sorry. It's there's a Disney movie. No, because there's a Jonas Brothers song, The Year 3000. And it was from a Disney movie that they put it on, like Meet the Robinsons, or
could be, yeah.
I only saw that once.
But
it played on Radio Disney and in my household all the time.
Well, sure.
There you go. But I just thought of that when we talked about the year 2000. But
the flashlight under the face, yeah.
Anyway,
this was fun, guys.
It was fun. It was fun to go back and look at.
We have done 200 episodes. 200. We have talked to each other 200 times right here. Actually 201, but that other episode is burned and flamed.
No, I don't remember that.
That was it was a practice.
I don't remember that at all. I don't know what you're talking about.
Wasn't even an episode. It was just a panel. But 200, guys, it's been so fun. Are we gonna continue or just like stop here?
I thought we were gonna. I didn't even know that we were.
I was just checking in. I wanted to make sure we were all on the same page.
Are we having that conversation?
That wasn't on the radar at all. That we were.
It's the same as Bedazzled. I just wanted to hit you in the stomach with something.
Every once in a while, you got to do something to keep the relationship fresh, right?
Yeah, that definitely.
And that's what I just did. I was like, "Are we breaking up? Are we staying together? What are we doing?"
It would be a weird thing to say we're stopping here when we're doing a fundraiser on Friday, and we're going to run a race in January.
We can still do that and not do this, right?
Yeah, but it wouldn't be as much fun.
I know. There's no way we're stopping now.
Yeah, we're not stopping.
Can't stop me now. Oh,
here's episode 200 and to another 200 episodes down the road. It's been great. Thank you, everybody who's listened, who's watched, who's supported us over the years.
Seen us at conventions.
If there is a movie that you want us to cover, let us know.
Absolutely.
We will talk about it.
I'd prefer not to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's, but if you really want us to, we could go there.
Just give us suggestions. We will pick a suggestion if it fits our criteria.
That was one. I'll tell you, I went to that screening and I felt so old because the teenagers in the crowd were loving every second of it.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be big, Tracy.
It opened huge already.
Yeah,
But it was one where I figured out the twist very early on, and then when it was revealed, all the kids were like, "What?" And I'm like, I've seen a lot more movies than you have, but that's okay.
This is what drugs does to your brain, kids.
Well, on that note,
see us Friday. Come see us Friday.
Come see us on Friday.
Bring cash and card and fun and
Midway
energy.
Yep, we can't wait to see you there. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Passes, all sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. We appreciate your support. And until next time, we won't see you at the movies.
But we'll see you at the Midway.
Yes.
This has been an Age of Geek media production.